So that brings us to Sarah Palin. So let's get to the substance of this, if there is any. Oh, come on, there's no substance. Let's have some fun. Okay. So now Newsweek tells us all the inside story that they promised they wouldn't print until after the election. Now they're printing it. We're going to have a guest on from Newsweek tomorrow, hopefully, to talk about all the juicy details. But speaking of that, I'm not a diva. No, of course not. Don't be ridiculous. Turns out, inside story, total diva. They said that $150,000 that came out in the press reports about how much she spent was an understatement. They are now still getting bills from underlings that she handed off to and said, hey, go to Neiman Marcus and buy me some more clothes. They think that number is going to be much, much larger. And she thinks she can hide it, but as the people from the McCain campaign pointed out, hey, at some point you have to have the receipts and pay the bills. It's going to be a matter of public record. You can't really hide it, so I don't know what game she thinks she's playing. And you know how she said, oh, I didn't do it. These people told me to go buy some suits. What can I do, right? They gave me the suits. Here's the real story. Nicole Walsh, specifically, top campaign advisor of McCain, said, hey, go buy 3 suits for the convention. 3 suits. She came back and she said, oh, one of the top donors for the Republicans is going to pay for this. She came back and said, oh, great, yeah, here's the receipt. And the receipt read on it $150,000. And the donor was like, what? I thought you were going to get 3 suits. How the hell did this thing turn out to be $150,000? Say that the donor was pissed is an understatement. And it turns out it's not just her and the kids. They got Todd Palin $20,000 to $40,000 worth of clothes. Man, that first dude is going to look spiffy up in Wasilla. He's going to be like, he'll be strutting around town, man. He's going to be pimping. Like, look at this. 20 to 40. I'm not sure I've bought $20,000 to $40,000 worth of clothes my entire life. I'm not kidding. I don't think I have. That's a lot of money, man. I know I haven't gotten $40,000. I'm not sure I've ever spent $20,000 for my whole life in clothes. That's maybe because I go shopping once every 2 years or so, right? But I should hang out with Sarah Palin a little bit more. So that story's going to get even worse for her. Now, look, they lost the election, so it's not quite as relevant. But it'll be fun to bring that back up when she runs in 2012, as she seems to clearly be indicating. Here's a couple other fun stories. Once they go, early on in the process, they go to have a meeting with Sarah Palin, some of the top aides, including Steve Schmidt. She comes out in a towel. Ooh. She's got a towel around her waist. Not around her waist. That would be even. Interesting. You betcha. She has one around, wrapped around where it's supposed to be wrapped around, and then one on her head as well. And she's like, yes, what would you like? They're like, well, first we'd like you to put on clothes. Then we'd like to have a conversation with you about the campaign. So that's another fun story. Now, here's one that's very relevant. The campaign had not made up its mind about Bill Ayers yet, whether they were going to run the Bill Ayers line of attack. And she went rogue. She just came out in a speech and was like, oh, Bill Ayers, la, 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 la. And they're like, what? But we hadn't even decided. We hadn't even taken it to McCain yet. McCain had to make the final decision. She's like, yeah. While he's waiting to make the final decision, I'm going forward. This is why the conservatives love her, because she wants to go more negative. She pushed to do the Reverend Wright thing, and McCain wouldn't allow it, right? And even if she doesn't get her way, she's like, well, so what? I'll just, I'll do it anyway. Rules? I don't follow no stinking rules. So conservatives love that, but you know what? The American people don't love that. And they showed that using the Bill Ayers strategy was a terrible idea. So they were right to be reluctant to use it, and she was wrong to have used it in the first place. Then I got one last story for you. Oh, on the night of the election, she came up and said, hey, I'd also like to give a concession speech. And the advisors were like, where did this woman come from? What do you mean you'd also like to give a concession? No, only the presidential candidate gives one. Who are you? She's like, yeah, okay. I'm surprised she didn't jump up and grab the mic. She's like, I'm going rogue. Team of Mavericks. Here's my concession speech. I'm coming for you, Obama. 2012. Get me some clothes. What is this? The rags that I'm in. Somebody get me some clothes.